we met and he said to me, in 2 weeks after meeting, I want to get married to you.
Yo.
And we were the it couple. We inspired people. So even when he was beating me, he's like, yeah, I want to show you who's in charge. I was now starting to be afraid of him. He was no longer a husband, but a monster to me. As I'm driving to school, I would stop the car on the side just to cry. I was just crying so much at the time when I was going to my school. I was such in a dark place.
Do you think he fell out of love with you?
But I was so broken. And he used to even call me a broken woman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Centtwinz TV. So I've been through the most podcast right here on our channel. We appreciate you, we love you, and we are celebrating because we are on our way to 200k subscribers.
So on the time of recording this, we are on 170k subscribers on YouTube. Now we need the numbers on Spotify. Or is it Spotify?
Yes.
Spotify. That's how they say it. And then also on Apple Podcasts. So please show us some love on those platforms as well. If you're listening on those platforms, hey, welcome. We love you. We have another incredible guest for you with an incredible story that will leave you inspired.
Yes, today we've got Venice Ditshego, who is here to share her story. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I feel so excited. I'm very excited. Trust me. Yeah.
Let's get into your story. I know that you have been through the most.
Hopefully my story will inspire people out there. And so my name is Venice. I am from Limpopo, Denelton, Kontwani. I was born and raised there. I'm a sports fanatic. I studied sports management until its honors level. I'm a community developer. I'm just enthusiastic in community development. And the reason why I'm starting with this is because whilst I share my story, I want people to know that you can still overcome and do things and go to the next level in life. You're not your story. You're not going to just be based on that and more. So there's just so much that you can give. So my story goes as follows. I was married at the age of 22 and divorced at 24, just for 2 years. There was just a lot of abuse in the marriage. So I met my ex-husband when I was 20, and he was 30. So, I still am a church-going girl. We met not in church, but because he's a believer and I'm a believer, in church, there's always that thing of the brothers in church. We always assume that it's going to be really like a different thing for us. Experience, exactly. He's a psychologist, he's a preacher, and everything like that. So we met and he said to me, in 2 weeks after meeting, I want to get married to you.
Yo.
And we were very excited. And I was a virgin then, and everything was just so beautiful. Until we got married at the age of 22, yes. And everything was nice. The marriage was fine in the beginning. It was really beautiful. We were the it couple. We inspired people. I mean, I was a Sunday school teacher. He was a youth pastor as well.
Wow.
We used to motivate people inside the church, and everything was just really beautiful. Until he then started. I don't know if it was because whenever you are abused, you always think it's you, right?
Yeah.
So until he said to me one day after my preaching, and he's just like, you know what, you are just too much, and we just had a conversation after that ended up, went from one level to another, and before I knew it, I was thrown down the fridges, beaten down. Put on top of the bed and beaten down even some more. And for a person who's a psychologist, for a person who's a preacher at church, I never thought that. And also me as a strong woman, as a person who really just I never thought it's something that would happen to me. So I was quite shocked at that.
Yeah. So this happened how long after you got married?
A year in, because it was
So for a
December.
year you were fine.
For a year we were
Before
fine.
you got married, you were fine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Also, you mentioned that when you preached, then he had a problem. So was it like a competition vibe? Because obviously he was a preacher before you got married, and then you obviously you guys are now married, and you're also in ministry and you're preaching. Was it a competition?
You know, I wouldn't say it's a competition, but you know, sometimes with women who are outspoken, who know themselves, who know what they want, they always become, not always, but to some men, it becomes a threat to them. So they always want to find a way to really just tone you down, because there was also verbal abuse inside the marriage. There was also, you know, for example, I'm in sports, I love sports, and that's actually something that helped me out of my depression. But so he would even say to me, no, you know, there's certain things that, you know, even with your career, there's certain things that you cannot do. Even because I ran the comrades, and it was like, I don't think you can even run that. Before running the comrades, he was always just pulling me down. Even in my courses, he was like, you're studying until your diploma. Don't even go ahead. Don't study further. You know, this thing, it's, you know, studying law or being a doctor is much better than what you are studying. He never came to my sessions. He never came to, because I played tennis as well when I was doing varsity. He never really just became interested in what I did.
What you do.
So I wouldn't say it's a competition, but I would say whatever I did maybe became a threat to him, maybe because of low self-esteem, or I don't know what exactly. He would answer that. But with me, I was just really just, I was young. I was really just, you know, working my career inside the sports and inside, and just trying to inspire people in the church. So the beating happened after my preaching. I think also what had happened, we were in different churches before getting married.
Okay.
So we were, you know, obviously the churches did things differently.
Yes.
So because he was working around where my church was, we decided then to attend my church. So when he got there, he used to feel like he doesn't belong and stuff like that. So I understood that maybe it's something that we could have had a conversation about and said, what can we do about this or something. So when he was going to my church, he would drag his feet, he would wake up late, so the day he gave me the beating was, he dressed up in a, like, you know, when you are a pastor but you are wearing a vest and just the jacket on top, and I'm just like, I'm gonna be preaching today. You know, when you preach, you're like, exactly, and you're like, obviously before you preach, you're like, you know, I'm going to be greeting, you know, yeah, yo, backbone. And then there you are with, you know, obviously I loved him the way he is, but obviously when you go out there, you want to look a certain part, and he just dragged his feet. He didn't want to make the effort. He didn't want to show that, you know what, he's proud of what I'm doing. And it wasn't the first time. So for him, he felt like he's being controlled in what to do or how to, you know, dress or whatever. So even when he was beating me, he's like, yeah, I want to show you who's in charge. I want to show you, you know, yeah, he was just like, saying all these things. I could feel that he wants to just destroy me. You know, he was just beating me up. He was just making sure that whatever that he's doing then, it will really just
Make a statement.
or make me just, or throw me off from what I'm trying to become. But you know what? It didn't, because look at me today.
Sure, but look at you today.
Yeah.
Coming out of that day, what was the conversation like? I mean,
Sure.
you were abused for the first time in your marriage.
Yes.
You're still young. You were verbally and emotionally abused and physically abused.
Yeah.
How was the relationship like after that? What did you say to him? How did you get over that night?
Sure. That's a very good question, because in the beginning, we couldn't even become intimate. I couldn't even allow him to touch me, hug me, because I would feel like the same hands that hugged me can't be the same hands that embrace me. I felt so unsafe in the house. I remember at night I used to get panic attacks. I used to not be able to sleep, because when I'm sleeping next to him, I'm thinking, what if I was now starting to be afraid of him. He was no longer a husband, but a monster to me. And we stayed in the hospital because he's a psychologist. So we had housing facility there. So I would get heart, what do you call it, panic attacks.
Yeah.
Would wake up at 1 a.m. taking me to the hospital because I couldn't sleep. It happened quite frequently that a week wouldn't pass without me having to be
Yo.
admitted.
And that time he knows exactly what it is. That is what he studied for.
Exactly.
He knows exactly why you're
Exactly.
having those panic attacks, because if somebody abuses you verbally, obviously psychologically it messes you up as well.
Yes,
And he knew exactly what he's doing, and he could see the damage that it's doing. So
'Cause
was he sorry?
That's the thing about someone who's I don't know whether-
Narcissist.
a narcissist or an abuser. They don't take it in that way. They feel like they are the victim. They don't.
Or they make you feel like they're the
They
victim.
are the victim.
Yes.
Exactly, because you work with people like this, you know that this is wrong. You try to help them, and how do you help them when you are doing it at home? How do you preach when you are telling, how do you say something different than what you are doing at home?
Exactly.
So with him, he wasn't sorry in the beginning. It took time for him to actually say sorry. He actually said sorry properly now after 5 years.
Yo.
You know what I did? I told myself, I'm done waiting to want his apology. I need to change my... So I think sports really helped me. You were saying, how did I get out of that? Immediately after the marriage was done, I started doing the things that he thought I couldn't do. I went to run the comrades.
So before that,
Yes.
how did the marriage eventually end?
Sure.
And how was that 2 years? I'm so curious.
Yeah, because
you're
yeah.
married for
After
such
a
a year, you
short
beat me
period of
up.
time.
That means for the next year, you stuck with this person
Yeah.
that you now not only see as a husband, but as an abuser as well.
Yes. So the challenge with me, or what I did, I didn't leave immediately. He actually left me. So 6 months into it, I fell into depression. So he did it on the 17th of December. On the 25th, remember it's Christmas, we have to go to his home. I had to do pretend. Okay, I was upset. I went home and I didn't really get support. I'm from a village where they take, such as lebitla la mosadi ke bogadi, you don't what did you
Never
do
ever
wrong?
leave your marriage.
What did you do wrong for you to get such and all these things? I didn't
Sure.
really have support at all at
So you
that
did
point.
tell your family.
I did tell my family.
And they were like,
The
wife
same-
up, girl.
the same night.
Wow.
And they said
Sure.
to me, stay, we'll talk about it in the morning. And I think that in therapy, that was the sentence that kept on. With this one, I'm like, okay, he's an abuser. I need to I see he doesn't care. But my own family, that hit hard. There was a time where I went home just to try and really get myself back. But I was so broken. And he used to even call me a broken woman. Even after.
Sure.
Those are the words I remembered in therapy, because I was just like, you do this and then you even label me to say, I don't want a broken woman. And you are the one who took me there. So I bake cookies. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try. V, you got this. There are people looking, looking up to you, blah, blah, blah. At that time, not many people knew. And I don't know why. We actually get embarrassed for being beaten. We actually feel like we don't want to share it. It's going to look bad on us. It's abuse. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it does. Yeah.
Even in the mind.
You
it really
carry
just,
the shame as if you inflicted that on yourself, but you didn't.
Exactly. I think that's what happened. That's only what I realized after the 5 years. Like when we started speaking 5 years later, to say the problem was not with me, and all that. But we will get to this. So on the 25th, then we went to his home, and I tried to be the perfect Makoti. Like I was just like, nothing happened, as if nothing happened, and
You were
that even
happy.
eats you more because you are living a lie. You know that I don't want to be with this person. This person did this to me and stuff, but you are trying so hard to make it work and all of
To
that.
fix things.
To fix things. You are from a church background. Also even I think I also got lost in my church as well, because now I'm just like, the divorce is wrong, and all of that. Even the doctrines on the teachings that they were teaching us, you feel you need to work on it. I think he was done because he started mistreating me. He started like giving me a cold shoulder. I went into depression. I was just in a dark place from January, February. I was in school. I was doing my second year. I'm a person who was getting distinctions. I've gone to school for 6 years and I've gotten like 58 distinctions in total.
Wow.
But at that time, I then I went down. I failed for the first time one subject that I was writing, because I would even, as I'm driving to school, I would stop the car on the side just to cry. I was just crying so much at the time when I was going to my school that I wasn't able to even drive. Then I would there was times where even when I was driving, I would call my parents. I was very suicidal. I'm like, "Aksanya ko phela," I would just drive, and I feel like I could turn the car on the road and just end it.
Yeah.
I had drank pills to try and really just end my life, but I wouldn't drink that much. I would drink to also get him to see how much
Attention,
pain
yeah.
is
You
he's
just-
inflicted
yeah.
on me.
Like, just see
Then he
me,
would
I'm
get
in
there,
pain.
and he would just, there's a time where I did like a lot, so I was laying on the floor, and I was just like thinking to myself, okay, I need to just find a way. You think the problem is with you all the time. So that's why I never got to a stage where I was like, I'm done and stuff like that. I was such in a dark
Do you
place.
think he fell out of love with you?
100%. Corinthians 13 says love,
It's
it hlalosa
kind, come on,
lerato.
yeah.
There is no love as such. You can't be saying you love your wife and then you do such to them. I think for me, he fell out of love. And I think there was the time where after the divorce, then I felt, oh no, man, this person wasn't loving me in that way that he loved me before. I mean, when he loved me initially, before I was even married to him, he bought me a car. He financially, remember, I was still in school. He was the one
Yeah.
taking care of everything. There was a time where he got us a house and all of those things. So I'm not saying buying you stuff means the person
Yeah.
is in love with you,
But you
he
could
was
feel the
acting
difference.
different.
So here he loved me.
Yeah.
And he
at
was
this point-
intentional about making you feel a certain way.
Yes, exactly. And then afterwards, but
What was the trigger? At which point did you feel, okay, he stopped loving me at this point?
I think after the beating, although there were red flags before, because he had, you see, when a person is not happy with themselves, he's already having challenges with his own family. He hates his father. He feels like his father could just die. His father was abusing his mother from a young age, beating them. There was a time where he would
So you are
explain.
paying for all these
Yeah.
things he went through. Who's broken now?
Exactly. So he would tell me stories where I would even cry and say, I can't believe you went through that, The father, there was one story where his dad, they were fetching wood, and then his dad was like, climb on top of those. So there was a pile of wood that he was a small boy. I think he said 7 or 6. Then he climbed on top, and then he fell down, and his dad just left him there. So there was drastic stories.
Trauma.
That one I cried. I was just like, how can he? So with such, I think he's already a person who's broken. He's already a person who never received love. So I don't know how he convinced me that he loved me in the beginning, because he doesn't know it. He doesn't know how to love. But I felt loved. I felt like, everything was just perfect, Christian-like. Everything was, he waited for me until marriage before we could be intimate and all that. So I always thought we are good, And I was just, So with me, I felt out of love, that he's out of love after he laid his hand on me. The other stuff I always felt like we can work through. I mean, it's just normal challenges. So after he beat me, that's when I was just like, you can't. But still I stayed.
Then he divorces you.
That's the thing.
How did that come about? And who served you when? What did you expected? Because I know that can be a lot, even
Yeah.
if someone wants out.
Yeah.
But that reality, when you
Yeah.
get those papers,
Yeah. So it was Lobola, so we didn't really sign.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but he did it via an SMS. Hey.
Wait, do you not stay together anymore at this point?
So we had 2 houses. There was that house in the hospital and then the
Oh,
house in
okay.
Pretoria. So I was mostly in Pretoria because I was schooling.
Okay.
And then he would come to the house in Pretoria, maybe month ends
Okay,
or
to come see you,
weekends.
okay.
Yeah. So there was a time where we had planned that we are going to be meeting. And then he then decides that he's not gonna come, or he actually came later on, but he went to his brother's house. Then I'm like, where are you? Blah blah blah, and he's just like, I'm around, but I'm not gonna come, And I'm just like shocked. Or, okay, you don't even say anything. You don't like, okay, what's happening? But we were a bit we were not in a good space.
Yeah.
But that was because I had decided not to allow him. I was writing I think I was doing second year now.
Yeah.
So what had happened prior, remember last year, December, he had beat me.
And
So
you
and
failed
then I
subject
failed the
because of that.
subject.
Yeah.
So there was a time I gave him silent treatment because we had a bit of a fight, and then he sent me a message saying, I don't know why I married you, whilst I was writing my exams. So I decided to give him a silent treatment, refocus on my exams, and just really pass this time, because I had to, we had to do a whole process with my school with failing, because I was helped by the fact that my predicate was a distinction. So at least at the end, I had to get a rewrite and all of that, balance it, yeah. So with this time, I was just like, I'm not going to talk to him and stuff like that. So when he came to Pretoria, he wanted me to feel that you gave me a silent treatment, I'm going to even do worse, So he then went to the brother. Then I was just like, can we talk, blah, blah. So we're going to meet on the 15th of December, but this is the next year, right?
Yeah.
Then he decides not to come to the house and stuff like that. Then me, who's always wanting to fix, takes the car, goes to the brother's house. When I get there, he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to show himself. I don't even know where the brother stays this side. I only know the other houses where he stays in Kiani. So then I'm just like, where are you, blah, blah, blah. Then we meet on the street. He's just like, he walks out, somewhere, and he's like, we'll meet at this place. So I get there, and he gets in the car. He gives me. So he used to be a person who has a lot of moods. He would just be quiet. You would speak to him. You would try and do stuff. Do stuff for the birthday. He's just very grumpy, very grumpy. And now it's like, I like to talk. So I would be like this, and he'd be like, So then this time he goes into the car, and we think okay, let's try and talk about this and stuff. And he's just like, oh, before I got there, whilst I'm telling him I'm on my way, he sends me a long text. I don't think I don't even remember the text, but I don't think we'll do fine together going forward. I think we should just leave it and tell the parents that we are leaving. I mean, we are leaving the marriage, separating, and all of that. So now I'm on my way, and I'm trying to fix the marriage, which I didn't even, destroy in the beginning. But I was just like, because after the beating, things went south. So I was just like, okay, let me ignore the message. Let me get to him. Maybe when I get to him, we will, have a conversation.
You still want to fix, girl.
Well, I don't know what
they beat you. They break up with you. You still want to fix.
That's the thing. That's why I worked so hard afterwards. I was like, I let myself just be, walked all over. So I need to really, because there's more to me than such, Yeah,
so
but
you realize you didn't love yourself.
Hence the
and hence the book. I want to get to it. Why not love myself like this? So there's a certain way in which you need to love yourself.
Exactly.
And I think when you love yourself that way, it makes it easier for other people to
love you.
To love you, right?
Exactly.
Because you know how to love yourself, right? And obviously this is not a general statement, because people are like, oh, just because I'm in an abusive marriage, I can't leave, doesn't mean I don't love myself. Like, you speaking your truth in the book. So tell us why the title and how you came out of it and where you are now.
Alrighty. So when I wrote the book, I was in hospital for 3 weeks. So remember, I went through this divorce, but I never dealt with it. So obviously it later catches up with you. So I would say I'm a hard worker. So I was always overworking now, trying to numb whatever pain I was having. Then I overworked so much that I ended up in hospital, meaning I was just down and out. My body was no longer functioning. I was having diarrhea, later constipation, later loss of appetite, migraines, you can name it. So I was no longer in charge of my body. But later on, it hit me 4 years later, because I was trying so hard just to, cover up, to say, right now I'm just going to do this and this and this. Some of the things, it worked in my favor, but, you need to rest.
You need to deal with it.
You need to rest. You need to deal with it. You need to accept. You
face
need to
on. Yeah.
face on. It's very important. So then I was in hospital last year, diagnosed with depression at a mental health, hospital in Witbank. And whilst I was there, I was just like, no, V, you need to deal with it. And even so I had a therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist. Every morning I would see a person, I would see a psychologist. After that, I would go to my psychiatrist. After that, therapy group sessions. It took me 3 weeks to just get over that. And even in the meetings, I was just always crying. I was just always, I would say, wow, I'm really still mad. I didn't know, now they come out. These things really help.
Sure.
Then I'm going to make a confession about the book. I wrote some quotes in the book and people don't know it's me who went through those things. But today I'm actually saying, I actually gave the girl in there a title or a name saying her name is Buledi. Okay, I'm Buledi, guys.
So you wrote it as a fiction.
Yeah.
And now it's a true story.
Today we're coming out.
How much it was, because sometimes you don't even see yourself as that girl. Because you went through so much.
Exactly. And it's only, with days like this when you tell your story that you feel like, wow, So I then wrote some quotes where there was a relationship I was also in. This wasn't only about my marriage. It was just different relationships. Then this person was loving me so much. So remember, I now don't trust men. I had a lot of challenges after my marriage with getting into relationships. I'm not even okay. I can't say. Hey, now I'm gonna get
DMs.
I'm still working on myself. But yeah, so I then had this guy who showed me so much love, but I was rejecting it and stuff like that. And sometimes you find guys who even take advantage of the fact that you are vulnerable and stuff like that. Yeah, so I took all the quotes together and said, why not love myself like this, which is the title of the book. Get yourself in a position where you fall in love with yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself, be intentional about loving yourself. If you want to study certain things, this person doesn't want you to do it or whatever. Right now I have my own company.
We are so proud of you, though.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for turning your pain into something that can also help other people.
Perfect.
I love how you are helping the community.
Yes.
I love how you continue to
done.
work on yourself.
Yeah.
From comrades, I mean, you are also like a gym
Fanatic.
instructor, gym fanatic. You run a swimming
bunny.
school.
Yes.
And you're doing so much for the community, and I think that is commendable. I mean, you spoke about there were so many drownings in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
you were like, I can help. And then you're teaching kids how to swim.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
beautiful.
So for me, that's why in finding myself in healing, I really decided to just start something for the community that will also benefit the next person. So because of the drownings in our area, I was just like, okay, with my experience, my career, what I've studied, what is it that I can do for my community that will really just really uplift me and the next person. And I started the swimming school. It had around 562 kids in attendance in the beginning.
What?
And now we are on our 3rd campus and we are just going bigger and bigger.
And I'm sure they're swimming like fish now.
Not yet, but they're getting there. Yes, I would love to. Well, I was saying I would
You
love
just made
to.
the invite easier for her.
Perfect. Now I don't have to write the email. I'm joking.
No, you still have to write the email. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, V. Continue being amazing. We absolutely love your story, and we look forward to meeting even the kids at the swimming school.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. They will love having you guys.
They're awesome. And we leave the details below on how people can purchase your book, because I think that's the purpose of you writing the book, that it may get to other people and the healing journey continues.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching here on Centtwinz TV with myself, Innocent.
And myself, Millicent, and our amazing guest, V. It's bye for now.
Bye for now.